What's going on, Jerome's? We are back. Pregame show is finally back up in this building. Thank you very much for coming along, making us part of your day. It's going to be good times as the Vikings take on the Washington Commanders, a.k.a. the Commies. It's going to be a good day. Let us know where you're watching from. I'll give a couple shout-outs here in a second. Got a couple things to go over before we start. Check out the Purple for the Win store down below, purpleftw.net. Check out the gear. We also have some holiday stuff coming up. Shipping usually takes about a week. We couldn't find that out. We're just getting our legs under us with the new store. Get the Jerome gear, get the Jerome hats. It's fantastic. Thank you very much for doing that. So, inactives for the Vikings: Luigi Villain, Benton Whitley, the two edge rushers. Chris Reed is yet again inactive. Vidarian Lowe, Jalen Naylor out with the illness. Usezi Atamawo from the Gophers. I think that maybe he would have been active today with the injury to Diesel Dalvin Tomlinson, but no go. Also, Jumpin' James Lynch is listed as a starter, but also Kevin O'Connell had mentioned that Kyrus Tonga, the former nose tackle from BYU and also former Chicago Bear, is going to get some work in there as well. Also, Ross Blacklock has been getting after it as well. Let's depth chart. If you got a question you want answered, toss a couple bucks in the super chat. Let's see, depth PNG. Nailed it. Feeling good today. Sun is shining, birds are chirping and stuff. Vikings certainly cannot take the commies for granted, but I think ultimately they will get it done. Am I spelling this right? No. Come on. I'm a professional, don't worry. All right, so what else we got next up? Cameron Dancer playing tribute to the late rapper Takeoff, who was murdered very unfortunately November 1st. Also, Cameron Dancer has the greatest t-shirt game ever. Like, I want to know who Cam Dancer's t-shirt guy is, because they do a phenomenal job all the time, man. Let's see what is up in here. Ross Mullins, new monthly Jerome. What up? A couple shout outs. We got 605 Palmdale, South Dakota, Germany, Guten Tag, Ames, Lafayette Hill, Pennsylvania, Ottawa, Savannah. Savannah, there's been another murder. Oakland, Fresno, all up in here. Sioux Falls, Kansas, Casson. That's right. Let's see what else. Kevin Seifert, who is not Carl Gerbschmidt, by the way. It's nuts here already in FedEx Field parking lot. So this was at 8 a.m. Central Time. So it was at 9 a.m. over in Washington. And, I mean, respect. Washington fans are super loyal. They're super durable. They get after it. It hasn't been so great the last couple of years. But, I mean, come on. Unless this is not a designated tailgating lot, I don't get it. Well, if it's not a designated tailgating lot, where are all these cars from? Are they like stadium employees? But no, that doesn't make sense, because most places bus in stadium employees and the park. Anyways, doesn't matter. Tom Pelissero, go. Just talked to Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell, who told me newly acquired tight end TJ Hockenson is going to play a lot today. They started working with him around 10 p.m. Tuesday, and he'll be in most packages today against the Commies. Wow. Which is pretty amazing, man. So, I mean, TJ Hockenson, obviously super talented, but learning a new scheme in 3 days. 3 days of practice. It's awesome, man. Tristan D, $2 in super chat. I'm very nervous about today's game. I think that there's enough going for the Vikings that they simply cannot overlook Washington. Like, they can't look ahead to the Bills. It's a one-game season. I think the Vikings will get it done today. Kevin O'Connell. Star Tribune. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell and his wife Leah welcomed their fourth child to the family Friday night, and O'Connell traveled with the Vikings as scheduled on their flight to the Washington, D.C. area for Sunday's game. So congratulations. The O'Connell family growing by leaps and bounds. Fantastic, lovely family. And also Kevin O'Connell, football guy. So the new baby came in Friday night, I think they said, and he slept overnight at the hospital, and then he was on the flight Saturday, heading out to D.C. Let's go. Go win a ball game, man. That's right. And going over our keys to win. This is from the Friday video. So we got the Kirk Vember revenge game. Also Kevin O'Connell coming back home. All that stuff. It's good to know. Knocking back a few Heineckes. And I think that's going to be the key because Washington's had some spots along the offensive line. Like they don't have Scherf anymore. They obviously don't have Trent Williams anymore. And I think that Zadarius Smith and company can really get after it. I'm really hoping this is going to be the Daniil breakout game because we've been waiting for it in the new scheme. We haven't quite seen it. But also I think Wanham and PJ and jumping James Lynch, Pride of Baylor, could get after it as well. I think that this could be a game where Heinecke gets sacked 7-8 times, which I certainly would be okay with. Scary Terry, it's going to be a tough day. I mean, it's good the Dancer's in there. Patrick Peterson's dialed in, but Terry McLaurin is one of the better route runners in the league. He's got great hands. He's just a really phenomenal player. And then stopping the runs. Even though Washington doesn't put up gaga stats with the running game, I think that's more based on what happened earlier on in the season when Carson Wentz was at center. They're going to want to run the ball. And Antonio Gibson, stud. Also with McKissick out, he's going to get a lot more work on third down. Brian Robinson Jr. is just an absolute monster. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, especially without Diesel Dalvin Tomlinson. Getting Jefferson in the end zone. Jefferson, he's due for a big game. And I think that the Vikings roll today, and I think Jefferson maybe gets 1, 2, 3 into the foe. Maybe touchdowns one time. Sure. Working in Hockenson. It's really promising. Unless Kevin O'Connell, this is a complete bluff. Just ready to throw the commies off because, I mean, the Washington does not have any film on Hockenson in the Vikings offense. And I think that Hockenson's role is not going to be the same as Johnny Munt would be or what Irv Smith Jr.'s was. So it's going to be tough. So unless that O'Connell is completely just bluffing with his muffin here in terms of where Hockenson is going to be, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Ed Ingram rebounding. You got cooked by J.J. Watt, Deron Payne and company, Jonathan Allen. Like they're two of the best defensive interiors tandems in the National Football League. Also on the outside, Montez Sweat. I mean, Washington can rush the passer even without Chase Young, who's inactive today. They haven't started his 21-day window to return from IR. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough day all the way around. Like Montez Sweat on the outside against Darisaw. It's going to be tough. Dalvin Cook nailed it. The two Dalvins keep screwing him up. I think that Dalvin staying dynamic is going to be huge for the Vikings to get a win today. Less laundry, fewer penalties, and also Greg Joseph. Pull your head out of your anus. Please. Please, please, please. All right, so, we finally got depth up there. There we go. So, keys to winning, blah, blah, blah. So, our final score is 40-23. We'll see how that indeed pans out. Let's see, a couple other shout-outs. We got Fargo, Minneapolis, Rapid City. NFL Plus sucks. Fargo, North Dakota. Sioux Falls. Arkansas, Illinois. Mobile, Alabama. Pride of the Senior Bowl. Cuenca, Ecuador. All right, so this is Jerry Stratka. Saw my first Vikings game in 1968. Rode up in a freight elevator. Had a polio victim with us, Hubert Humphrey. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Let's see here. Mount Zion, Illinois. Georgia. He's having a pretty good day. Unless he's a Georgia Tech fan. I don't know. Honolulu, Quebec City. Richmond, Virginia. Indonesia. That's right. Albuquerque, ABQ, Chandler, Arizona. You guys are the best and phenomenal. So I think, this is going to be a tough day overall. Washington certainly is not a pushover team. They've won 2 in a row. They're 4-4. They're trying to keep their head above water in the NFC East. We're going to get their best shot. And of course, our guy, Taylor Heinecke, busting down glass doors and all that stuff. But the Vikings, I think they certainly can get it done. And especially with all the other teams playing in the early windows, we're going to know what happens with the NFC the rest of the way. Like, Lions one time. All right, so rooting interest. Go Lions, go Dolphins, who are playing at Chicago. Lions, I think the Lions beat the Packers outright. Not only do they cover, but I think that the Lions beat the Packers outright. So if and when the Vikings get a win, could we expand this lead to 4.5, provided that Chicago loses to Tua and the Dolphins? Would love to see it, man. But Vikings defensively, without Diesel Dalvin, it is going to be a little bit tough filling that space, stopping that run. You got James Lynch in there. You got Kyrus Tonga. Blacklock has been playing a lot more, which is fantastic. But I think it does come down to the pass rush, because we do know that Heinecke can get flustered. He's thrown an interception in both of his 2 starts so far this season. And I think that the Vikings defense has been really good at getting takeaways, where sometimes they are marshmallowy, especially in between the 20s and red zone. There certainly aren't a prize pig. So I think that a takeaway or 2 is going to be really key and instrumental in this game. So I think flustering Heinecke with some interior pressure, and then, of course, getting after it on the edge. Heinecke does have a little bit of mobility, though, man. So once you get to him, you got to bring him down. Pixel Pusher Pro, $20 in the super chat. Where did you get your Thielen flakes? Love the fru and quality of content. Skull Vikings. Hey, $20 in super chat. Thank you. Got Hy-Vee. Like they got shelves of it still. It's just like fantastic, man. So bought 3 boxes of this. One for just to put it in the back of the studio, and the other 2 the kids just ate because they're freaking savages, man. And you know what's even more of a bad beat? It's like so the kids are stupid, by the way. So they love like cereal, like all the sugary cereal, like all kids do, right? And I know as a parent, probably shouldn't be giving them that much, but is what it is. They love Frosted Flakes. They like the store brand better. So I mean that's done in conjunction with Hy-Vee. So it's basically just Hy-Vee. Well, what's the name of the Hy-Vee Frosted Flakes? Generic, like Hy-Vee Flakes of Frost or something. I don't know. Something silly like that. Whatever. But, yeah, they like the Thielen cereal, so I might have to buy some more. Give us your final score predictions. Toss that in the chat. And then offensively, in the secondary, I could still see them adding some cornerback depth. Sidney Jones just out there chilling, man. And I think Sidney would be fantastic in the Vikings secondary, where they got Peterson, Dancer, and Shandon. Shandon has really stepped it up the last couple weeks. And you do have Booth. You do have Evans. I think it's clear that maybe they don't trust them as much as you would like. I don't know, rookie cornerback, jumping from college game where coverages are relatively simple, the offensive schemes you are up against are relatively simple, to the NFL, that's a big-time jump. But I think Sidney Jones added to this crew would make a lot of sense. Let's see here. Got 40-21, 31-17, 30-0, 20-14, 38-24. That's right. Hey, you guys playing the Powerball at all? I only play when it's big. I only buy one $2 ticket when it's over $1 billion. But what the next drawing is going to be $1.9 billion. And if you take the lump sum after taxes, you get $600 million. What would you do? What would you buy? I guess what would it be? Would you buy 20% of the Vikings? Just go to the Wilfs with not even with a cashier's check, with just a giant sack of cash. $600 million. I'm in. That would be funny. Well, at least get really good season tickets, man. So what bugs me is at US Bank Stadium, around the edge of the field, there are these little party pits, right? And it just seems like that's not a good view. Like seats can be too field level, where I feel like you need a little bit of an angle of the dangle to be able to see everything, right? So I actually think that some of the best seats are like, don't want to say all the way up section 1, around the lower bowl. We're not talking about just US Bank Stadium, but other stadiums as well, where I feel like it's like 3/4 of the way up section 1 in the lower bowl, where you get a little bit of elevation. You're still relatively close to the action. And tickets are also generally way cheaper than if you get close, because you can be too close. Like, you can certainly be too close to a game, where it's like where it almost becomes like watching a movie, where you're like, this close, like right up next to the screen. Whereas, the best is like 3/4 of the way back in the center. That's the place to go. What are we talking about? Doesn't matter. Offensively, so we're just waiting. We're just sitting, waiting, wishing for this big time game, and I think that we're finally going to have a bust out one today, where you got Hockenson in. He's the complete wild card. We don't even know what he's going to do. Also, the commies don't know what he's going to do. But Jefferson is a really good teammate, right? And Imagine other receivers if they weren't getting in the end zone since week 1 as a receiver. He ran one in a couple games ago, but could you imagine like some of the more me wide receivers in National Football League history if they hadn't been in the end zone since week 1? But I do think that Jefferson, he mentioned it this week. He's cognizant of it, and I think Kevin O'Connell is too. I think Jefferson gets in the end zone. We'll say twice. We'll say 2 TDs for JJ. That's right, Bay. It's going to be fantastic, man. Thielen always seems to do well in Washington. KJ is going to be there as well, too. And I don't know, it just feels good. It just feels right, where I think that the Vikings will be able to neutralize that Washington pass rush, even though it is hellacious, even though they certainly do get after it. And I do think that Kirk is going to have himself a great game because, I mean, Kirk spent 6 years of Washington, man. He's like a congressman, and then he went back to his district, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to come in. I'm going to prove to Daniel Snyder, who's still technically the owner of the team for now, and I'm going to prove to all the Washington fans that I am that dude. Because if you polled any number of Washington fans, 1,000%, they would trade in their quarterback situation for Kirk Cousins. They would just be like, we should give you the money. We should give you the 3 years, $84 million fully guaranteed. Hell, we should give him the 3 years, $90 million fully guaranteed that the Jets offered. Should have done that. All right. Also, I feel like this is going to be a random day. Like, obviously, Del Rio and the former Vikings great linebacker, as well as the rest of the defense, is going to be keying on Dalvin and Jefferson. But it seems like a weird game. Like, maybe Hockenson gets one just randomly. Maybe C.J. Ham punches one in. Everyone's focused on Dalvin. Then they forget, Ham, fullback trap. Let's go, man. But certainly cannot overlook Washington and the Vikings. Feeling pretty good. I mean, your only loss of the season is to the only undefeated team in the league. Eagles are 8-0. Eagles are looking really, really damn good, even though Houston gave them a scare. They were tied at halftime. Like to see that. But, yeah, one game at a time. One game at a time. Even though I understand it's very sexy looking forward to, the Bills, the Cowboys, the Patriots on Thanksgiving, the Jets, the Jets, Jets, the Giants, at Lambeau, at Soldier Field again, blah, blah, blah. But one game at a time. You can't be 8-1 without getting to 7-1 first. So go out and do that, man. Gotta go out and do that. Just woosah. Breathing in, breathing out. But I do feel good about Taylor Heinecke, man. I'm glad that he's getting a shot. And yes, it's partly because Scott Turner, former Vikings QB coach and whatever, I mean, he's the OC in Washington. The Riveras and the Turners are just like this. Long time. They're like the Shanahans and the Kubiai. But we're going to get after that ass, man. Like, hey, I respect you. I rooted for you, man. You probably should have been the guy in 2016 if you didn't put your foot through that door. Because, all right, so timeline. So before training camp, Heinecke, foot through the door, severs tendons, done for the season, right? And then Teddy and his knee, it's no good, right? And then the Vikings then turned to trading for Sam Bradford, a first and a fourth, I believe it was. Turned out to be number 14 overall, which turned into Derek Barnett from Tennessee, and who was the guy who strip sacked Case Keenum when it was still 14-7. The Vikings were in the red zone. Not that I remember things and hang on to grudges, stuff like that, but I actually do legitimately think that if Heinecke had stayed healthy and performed well, I think he would have been QB2 for the Vikings. And after Teddy went down, I think they would have rolled with Heinecke. I really do for 2016. So the Vikings would have held on to that first-round pick. They probably still would have taken Dalvin in the first round, even though they got him in the second round, 2017, which is funny. And I don't know. History would have been altered. Because what would happen? Because we've made this convoluted case before that Heinecke and the Vikings 2016 maybe go like 6-10, somewhere in there. The Vikings would have been around the number 10 overall pick. And you know who the number 10 overall pick in 2017 was? Let me pull it up. I'm a professional. Let's see. Do we have the Vikings one? I don't think we have the Vikings one. We'll have to settle for the Bears one. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, yeah, this is the draft where the Bears also traded up from 3 to 2 to take Mitchell Trubisky-Ponder over, this guy. This guy, future first ballot, first second Hall of Famer. Going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League history. But like we said, it's convoluted, but it kind of makes sense. Again, Vikings roll with Heinecke. They don't trade for Bradford. They keep their first round pick. They go 6-10. They end up with the number 10 overall pick, and bam, in purple. But yeah, I dream. I dream. All right. Let's see here. Any more questions? Let's see here. I'm looking forward to Hockenson, though. I actually do think that I'm going back and forth because to a degree, I want to believe Kevin O'Connell because he seems like a super honest dude, but I do understand the gamesmanship that would be involved in, hey, well, let's throw Washington and Del Rio off the scent just a little bit. Just a smidgen, and just be like, Hockenson is going to be out there for all the snaps, and you got to prepare for him and all that stuff. Or is Hockenson going to play like 20 snaps? He's going to be in red zone. He's going to be this, that, the other thing. I don't really know, but I'm so glad that this trade happened. I'm so glad that happened. I'm so glad that they didn't actually seal the deal for Brandon Cooks because, Cooks at $18 million next year is just ridiculous. But Hockenson is only 25. He's still on his rookie deal. He's only fourth year in the league. Get with the paint. $5 in the super chat. Thank you. He is a guy that could be a tentpole of the Vikings offense because right now, just off the top of your head, who will you say definitively will be a Viking in 3 years? It's going to be tough to say. Like, would you bet your life savings that Kirk Cousins, well, maybe that's a bad example because maybe your life savings is negative. Would you bet an arm if, that's a bad example too because maybe the drummer of Def Leppard is watching. Would you wager something substantial that Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy in 3 years? Probably not. Or that Dalvin is going to be here or that Daniil is going to be here. Like, three guys that I can say will positively be here. Darisaw, Hockenson, and Justin Jefferson. Now, Darisaw will be on his fifth-year option. Hockenson and Jefferson will be out of contract, which means they'll have to be extended. So I think that those guys, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hockenson, and Christian Darisaw, are just going to be three absolute tentpoles of the Vikings offense going forward. Absolutely, man. Tristan D, $5 in Super Chat. Knowing us, if we had the 10th overall pick in 2017, Rick was still traded back with the Chiefs. It's very possible. And it's like, then we have that stain. Actually, maybe Heinecke saved us from ourselves. Because then we would just be the team that traded the pick that went to KC for Patrick Mahomes. Actually, who traded that pick? It wasn't the Browns because that was the Watson trade, ironically. 2017 draft. Let's look that up. Let's look that up. All right, let's see here. Girl, you know it's true. Ooh, 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 I love you. All right. Zoom in and enhance. That's not the one. Go, you know it. 2017 draft. Number 10 overall pick. Oh, from Buffalo. Oh, but that turned out okay for them. It turned out okay for them in the next season, which is funny. The thing I love the most is being so close, having so much to say. All right, so the 2018 draft. So this draft is hilarious because the Carolina Panthers right now have the number 1 and the number 3 overall pick, and they're starting a guy who's in the XFL. And Walker is the best option right now. Don't get me wrong. So Josh Allen goes to the Bills at 7. Josh Allen was probably the most polarizing quarterback of all time from a draft perspective. Easily, because he had the arm. He certainly didn't have the accuracy. He had the athleticism. The question was, could he do it not against Mountain West competition? But he's certainly done the damn thing. And I think the success of Josh Allen opens things up for guys like Will Levis of Kentucky, where, Levis certainly is not perfect as a passer, but his size, athleticism, arm strength, it's going to get him the benefit of the doubt, certainly. And also it shows, there's many ways to quarterback. You could be Josh Allen with the monster arm and mobility. You could be Patrick Mahomes with a great arm, great intellect, as well as improvisational skills. You can be Joe Burrow. Doesn't have that great of an arm, but throws with that anticipation, is super accurate, and also is super cocky, got that moxie. You love to see it in your quarterback. Tua may have the weakest arm in the league in terms of starting quarterbacks, but he throws with anticipation, and he's a gamer. And Mike McDaniel and him are working together extremely well. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to go about being a quarterback in the National Football League. And, I mean, Kirk Cousins and Taylor Heinecke are two examples, too. Like, Kirk has a solid arm, but, there's questions about him in the clutch and in primetime. Even though Kirk Cousins has led three game-winning drives this season, no big deal. No problem. Taylor Heinecke, on the other hand, he's undersized by NFL standards. He's got a weak arm by NFL standards. And he just finds a way to get it done. Where he just got that dog mentality, man. Kirk, we obviously love Kirk Cousins, and he's doing extremely well this year. Plus, I want Kirk to wear 17,000 chains after he beats his former team this week. But if you took some of like Heineke's cocksure attitude and paired it with Kirk Cousins, I mean, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. But yeah, 17 chains. Like, I want the entire team's chains, like more than just Jefferson and Darisaw and Irv. Irv probably didn't make the trip. And Za'Darius a chain. I want everyone's necklace rocking on Kirk Cousins. That's right, man. Oh, the comments coming out in their all black uniforms. They actually look pretty good. Not gonna lie. All right. Game time is a couple minutes away. Thank you very much for coming along. Pre-game show. We'll see you at halftime. Skol.